Welcome to the Unstoppable Product Pioneer Podcast, the podcast for business and product leaders ready to turn vision into execution and misalignment into momentum. I'm Tamar Stoltz, and I'm on a mission to help you create clarity, streamline execution, and drive meaningful results. In each episode, I sit down with industry experts who share their insights, lessons, and wins, giving you the tools and strategies you need to turn alignment into your superpower. It's time to own your expertise, lead with clarity, and become unstoppable. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another awesome episode of the Unstoppable Product Pioneer Podcast. I'm so happy to be with you today. It's so funny. So many people tell me, I'm so excited. Today we have an awesome episode. It's like, tomorrow, when do we not have an awesome episode? I don't know. We always have an awesome episode because I'm just very fortunate to be able to connect with so many awesome people. So yes, we have another awesome episode for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. I'm super excited to be here with you and bring you another amazing session. So today, I am really honored to welcome Zach Westfall to the stage. Welcome, Zach. Thank you for taking the time to be here.
Thank you for having me. It's great to finally be able to actually do recordings. So.
Zach and I have been trying to do a podcast for a really long time. A really long time, which just means that it's going to be an awesome episode because every single possible thing that tried to get in the way of stopping this recording did its best. So I'm really happy that we're able to finally be here and have an awesome conversation. For those of you who don't know Zach, get to know him. He is a senior consultant at Leadwell Advisory Partners and really works, with lots of different people, but focuses mainly on the wholesale and retail distribution companies and has really cool experiences that he is going to share with us and just awesome insights and lots of value to add to our podcast. So welcome, Zach.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm extremely excited to, be here and get to connect with everybody. I've been a fan since the beginning and, couldn't be happier to finally get to be on.
Zach has been a fan, but Zach has also been one of my biggest supporters and cheerleaders. So it's an honor to have you here because, it takes people like you to be able to, keep doing what you're doing, especially for those of you who are listening and are entrepreneurs. You get what it feels like, right? It's like you're trying so hard to start things up and you just need those few people who are like, you got this, you can do this, and keep showing up for you. So Zach has been one of those people, and I just really appreciate all the support. And it's an honor to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Zach and what you do, and I don't know, a little bit about your background story, how you got to where you're at.
Yeah. So
take it away.
Like you said, currently I am a senior consultant at Leadwell Advisory Partners. But, it's been a crazy journey to get to that point. So, right out of school, I started in wholesale distribution of building materials. And so not really where I planned on spending my career, but got a great opportunity to kind of start out entry-level position, working in the yard, pulling orders, taking care of that while in school, and got an opportunity for that growth. And so as I continued to move forward, got an opportunity to go through a general manager's training program, and be promoted through a small regional distributor. And then kind of moved up through some acquisitions and ended up being acquired by a large publicly traded distributor, and just spent a lot of time kind of all over the Midwest, traveling, moving throughout the Midwest, working with different branches that we had, and really got a feel for just what it truly takes to build a business and that entrepreneurial spirit, because each of our facilities was, while owned by a large company, was managed by a local general manager. And so you got kind of that feel of how different managed businesses, truly succeed or fail based on leadership. And so it was extremely, eye-opening for me. And I did that until, mid 2022. And then kind of had a life-changing experience at that time. I had a stroke due to COVID. Symptoms, no idea truly, but I was able to make a full recovery. But kind of through that recovery process, I started kind of looking at, what was I going to do when I went back to work? What did my future look like? And that's when I got the opportunity to really jump into consulting. And it has been an absolutely, amazing opportunity to be able to help young entrepreneurs as they're getting started. Startups has really kind of became one of my passions, getting to work with startups, these founders that are so passionate about their ideas and kind of helping them shape what that truly, looks like. So it's been a crazy few years, but absolutely amazing to get the opportunity to make those changes, and here we are today. So
Wow. Whoa. Yeah, that's amazing. There's like so much there. I mean, that's
absolutely.
I'm like trying to figure out what to pick out first. I mean, it's so interesting because it's interesting because I would love to hear a little bit more about like the lumbar, like the business, like and the work that you are doing, because I feel like there are so many job opportunities that people have or jobs that people are working in where they could just come to work 9 to 5 and do what they're doing, whether it's physical labor on the computer, whatever it might be. But you mentioned the fact that you were able to really like observe and get to understand and learn different leadership styles and management styles with the different businesses that you were getting to know. And I feel like that's like a really key thing to highlight, because I feel like there are so many people who try to they want to learn more, they want to I don't know, bring their expertise to the table in more of a way than they're doing at their current job, but they feel like maybe they're stuck in the position or the title that they're given. So could you talk a little bit about like the actual position that you had in terms of like the physical work that you were doing, but then how you like opened up your eyes and your mindset to learning about things that were beyond that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I mean, it was very different because I came in, with a very specialized position, managing a product that we were just launching. And so, I was going into all of these branches with a very specialized skill set, a very specialized product knowledge, and teaching, the sales teams that have traditionally sold commodity lumber, commodity products. I was teaching them a value-added product, a prepackaged value-added pre-finished siding. And so as we would go through that process, this is just something that they're not used to, right? Commodities are a very price-driven market. You fight to the bottom. There's not really a large value add in that. And so teaching them really to sell on value and talk about the product features and benefits that we could offer and walk through that process. It was very interesting. And so, for me, I had the background of being in the yard. I, jumped into this product, but I had aspirations of moving up within the company as well. And so I just kind of took it up on myself to, meet with everybody that I was riding with, utilize that ride time as I'm training them, let them train me about what they do, because yes, I'm there to help, but what their skill set is and the value that they can bring, I was able to truly just learn from all of those years of experience of each of them and truly kind of dive in. And then I would go back every night and research exactly kind of what I was looking at, what I had heard throughout that day. So whether that be engineered lumber, whether that be commodity hardwood lumber, board foot calculations, whatever that may be, I would go back and kind of really work to bring value back the next day and work on that.
That's huge. That's really huge. I mean, that's so obviously like, I mean, it says a lot about you, obviously. I mean, that's amazing. I feel like it's such a like special thing to be able to like see opportunities and just to continue to learn and to be able to, you know, I don't know if the word, if it's like to like humble yourself, but in a sense it is. Cause I mean, like it's, you know, just learning from other people and putting yourself out there in a way that's, you know, teach me, tell me, show me, you know, like I think that's just
Absolutely. And for me, I mean, that's what that's what I love about consulting, right? Is I can take that approach and step back and truly see, you know, what are they looking for? You know, what is that startup or that you know, business that we're working with? What are they truly looking for? And you know, they've got great policies, procedures, sales process in place to get to the point that they're at now. They've got great ideas. You know, what can we do to tweak those ideas or to tweak those policies and procedures that are going to make that giant difference for them? And you know, all too often, I mean, we all have had the, you know, the crazy situations where, you know, there's a total rebuild that needs to take place, but very often it's just small, you know, it's just small tweaks that make the big differences.
100%. 100%. And I want to get into the startups in a minute, but I want to just point this out because I think it's just so like such an important point and topic that we could spend hours on. But I want to just like make sure for those of you who are listening, this is applicable to you. Okay. If you're in a 9 to 5 job, this is applicable to you. If you are an entrepreneur, figuring out your own business, this is applicable to you too. This is like a character trait. This is the ability to understand that the people around you have so much to offer. And even if you feel like, because I remember feeling like this in a 9 to 5 job, right? Like as a designer, like I remember feeling like, oh, I see a problem. Like I totally have ideas and solutions, right? But I remember at one point, like thinking like, maybe I should ask, you know, the product manager what they think. And maybe I should hear it from different perspectives and just that ability to like step outside and to see like, there's different perspectives, different people to learn from, different people who bring different experiences, right? And to bring that all together, like, I think that it's just such like a crucial thing. And I think that, you know, again, for those of you who are listening, like just take what Zach is saying and try to see how you could fit that in and apply that to your situation, because it's like, I feel like for people who do that, I know for myself, I'm also like naturally like a lifelong learner. But it's something that like, I definitely have to like make time for and like, you know, I don't know, like pay more attention to, but I've seen how much more valuable my own deliverables can be when I take the time to really, you know, tune into my mentors and role models and people around me who have what to offer. So I really appreciate you sharing that point because I think
Absolutely. And I think I would piggyback off of that and say that, you know, for the managers listening, right, the, you know, the leadership teams listening, to make sure that they're really working through that and encouraging that, keeping an open door policy, you know, encouraging those ideas, you know, giving credit when those ideas come and work out. You know, if those ideas fail, not throwing someone under the bus, but truly just valuing that, you know, that partnership and that open environment. That was giant for me. I was, you know, very, very lucky early in my career to have some amazing leadership teams in place above me that allowed me to take that extra time and truly learn, and you know, would take the time and teach, and were hands-on as well, you know, from the CEO, you know, on down through the organization.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so awesome. Okay, so tell us a little bit about startups. You mentioned, you know, passion for working with startups. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it's funny, when I came to Leadwell, I really got the opportunity. I had been a part of a couple, you know, product launches from the ground up in the distribution side, you know, and manufacturing side, but getting the opportunity at Leadwell to truly start working with startups kind of from, you know, initial funding phase on through, and working through that and really helping them create that opportunity, you know, to create an alignment. And you know, one of the hardest things that I see in that startup phase is the, you know, the creator of the product, the founder of the company, they have a very set view of exactly what they want, but then growth starts occurring. And a lot of times that growth is fairly rapid. You start bringing on additional people and you start to get away from, you know, your goals and your alignment. And so, you know, one of the main things that I, you know, always start with asking in a startup is, why is strategy alignment really critical for your startup? And, and we walk through what that looks like. What data points are you truly trying to hit on a daily basis? What are your investors' expectations? What is the market fit and current traction that you're getting? What does that process look like because you have limited resources? And so, as we walk through that, it's very interesting. One of the things that I do when I first meet these startups is, I ask if they have a marketing team. And if they do, I want to reach out to their marketing team, and I want to also reach out to their product manager or product management team. And I want to ask them one question, and that is, what are your goals moving forward? Like, what is your strategic plan right now? And if they're completely on opposite sides, just immediately before we even continue a conversation, I know we have an alignment issue. And so it's truly trying to kind of figure out what we can do to fix that.
Yep.
And I know we've had many conversations kind of around that, but it's something that's really there as you look at like that founder vision versus the team member vision, and where are you both truly aligned? Right.
Yeah. I mean, for those of you who listen to this podcast, I mean, I'm sure you're nodding your head, smiling, and being like, yeah, this is, I mean, because yeah, this is a challenge on a both micro and macro level. I mean, startup, not startup, corporate enterprise. Woo. But yeah, I mean, startup. And it's amazing because you're really giving these startups a gift by doing this, because when you have this, even the concept of strategic alignment baked into the DNA of the startup from the start, and it becomes like a foundation, fundamental piece of the business from the beginning, there's like no better gift that you can give these startups, because to have to try to educate, implement, and execute on that once the business is any further down the line is that much harder. So
absolutely. And you watch them, and you start that like scaling, right? You start watching them scale, and they scale too fast without a true strategy in place. And they really start kind of overbuilding versus what the true market needs are. And so that's the biggest one for me. Is like, we have to have feature X, Y, and Z. Well, why do you have to have that? Well, because, we have to, like, this is what we want. This is what we're envisioning. And so really kind of bringing that back down and saying, yes, but what does the market need? I think the best example of that is we had a tech company that we were working with, that truly dove deep into a lending platform for like small businesses. And after 18 months in development, going through the whole product line, building up, all of their marketing campaigns, taking all of that, they discovered that customers didn't want the loans, but they wanted more of like a cash flow forecasting platform. And so what does that look like? And so a simple like customer discovery process would have easily determined that, that was where they could have went and saved them, hundreds of thousands of dollars in that process. And so, once again, that's one of those things where it's like, I just truly have a passion for being able to get out in front of that and, just start opening up conversations.
That's huge. It's such a tough thing because you have to start somewhere, right? Like, I mean, talking from experience, like this is me a few months ago, right? Like you have to start somewhere. So you jump in, right? But then the point at which you have to like stop, assess, test, iterate, pivot, like that's the point. I feel like a lot of us, at least entrepreneurs, like find ourselves getting stuck, because when you get hooked on something and you're so like deep in the weeds, it's kind of hard to like, it's like someone's telling me to stop and reassess. It's like, stop and reassess. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's become like a personal extension of myself at this point. Like, what am I like, right? It's like you get so deep into it. It's like, oh, but I'm servicing, like I'm bringing something to the market, like to the people I've been called to serve, and they don't even want this thing. So like 1 second, right? Like, let's take a few steps back. So that's huge. I'm so curious though to know like what is the process? Because if I'm understanding correctly, it's kind of like there's two paths. There's like the path of the startup that is just starting out and like if we can get that strategic alignment baked into the DNA of the actual like pre-launch of the thing, like then that's amazing. But then there's also the scenario where you've got the startup that's a little bit farther down the line, right? Take the situation here of this tech company who's 18 months down the line finds out that, oh, oops, like actually what their customers wanted is looking a little bit differently. And after X amount of dollars and time spent, we gotta, go back to the drawing board. That realignment is going to look different, right? So it's like, I'm curious to hear, like, what's the process of going about it when you're starting from scratch versus what's the process of going about a realignment once you've already taken a path that you realize does not strategically align with the business objective goals?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny because they're both, fairly similar, right? And you kind of hit it dead on. It's baking in that, that alignment at the beginning and really kind of stepping back and reassessing. And one of the best ways I think to do that is to truly define like a North Star metric. It is kind of the best way that I describe it, right? For Airbnb, that's going to be like nights in a hotel booked. If we're looking at Spotify, that's total listening hours. Like, what is that true metric for your business that we can truly put a tracker on and really build that focus towards? And I think if we can start doing that, once we can start kind of tracking a metric and everyone in the business is watching that metric, then you can go back and say, okay, what do we need to tweak? Like, what does marketing need to tweak here? What does product management need to tweak? So that we can keep building towards that, towards that North Star metric. And I think that truly, brings a lot of value. And that's kind of starting, whether we're starting from the ground up startup or whether we're moving towards an established company that's really in the process of a reset, is how can we find those common ground numbers that make sense to everybody that we can start tracking. That brings everybody on the same page. It's no longer marketing versus product management versus, manufacturing versus sales. Now we all have key numbers that we're tied in together and we're all trying to achieve. And so I like to find that North Star metric and then start picking out what in each of those categories needs adjusting. And how did we get there? And then building strategy around that.
That's so fantastic. I mean, this is like so much of the work that I am doing now. And it's so amazing. Like, I feel like we need, we need so much more of this work. And then, I'm following you on this path here. So I'm curious. So once you get to that point, what is the process for revisiting that North Star and the metrics?
Yeah, so we're going to use, OKRs, so objectives, key results, and we're going to dive into that weekly. We're going to check those to make sure that we're moving forward. You're going to establish regular like alignment rituals, whether that is, weekly cross-functional, syncs between product and business, working through that and the marketing team to prevent silos from starting to form. Because one thing that I really, find is that those silos start really popping up within departments, and then we get right back to square one. So keeping those, those meetings established weekly, making sure we're following our OKRs, and then leveraging customer insights and truly diving in, whether that be net promoter, whether that be just customer conversations, but really jumping into leveraging those insights and making sure that customers aren't driving the direction of your business and that the roadmap, is truly not a guessing game. It is driven by facts and data to get you to where you want to go.
I love it. It's such a the holistic approach is it's one that to me is of course we have to do this, but I realize it's so not a basic given in I feel like most places. So it's refreshing to hear the process because I mean, it's something that I can scream about until I'm blue in the face. And those of you listening know that, but I mean, it's just so important. So and
there are several that I work with, and I'll give you those for kind of notes of of what those look like. But North Star metric framework, RICE, which is reach, impact, confidence, effort, working through those horizons. There's 3 horizon model. And really just like I think strategy cascade is another one that I've used in the past. So there's all different kinds of models within that. But any of those work, whatever works best for your environment, I think makes the most sense. But just having that and making sure that you're truly, staying aligned for that. I think one of the biggest things that that I see as we're looking at that proven framework and working through that to make sure that we have that alignment, is also educating on kind of the early signs of, hey, alignment's getting out of whack again. And so working with multiple people within the organization to keep an eye on that, from the CEO to the product managers, to the marketing team. Like, I want everybody to kind of have an idea so that they have that open candor to call that out when they start to see that occurring again. So, sales doesn't understand, what's launching next quarter. That's one that I always hear. The product managers are going, well, sales doesn't understand, like they don't get it. Product launches fail, and and no one knows why it's failing. Or the CEO comes out and says, we're focused, but everyone on the team has something different that they're focused on. No one's focused on a set goal. These are all things that I kind of start to coach on as well. As, hey, as right now we're all on the same page. We've rebuilt, or in a startup, we're all on that same page. But coaching as to what to watch for, those early warning signs of, hey, our alignment might be truly, falling apart, and how are we going to reel that back in?
That's so awesome. It's so funny because the last example you gave, like, is when the CEO says, "What do you mean? Everyone's focused, just on different things."
Uh-huh.
I mean, that is just, I mean, yeah, that's amazing, because it's like, I feel like there's so many situations where it's like everyone's intentionally working so hard to focus on what they're focusing on, but they've completely missed the boat because everyone's doing something else, or departments are working in silos, and there's a total disconnect. So it's like, why aren't we getting the results? Well, it's a pretty basic, simple fix, but has to be in place in order to see success. So
absolutely. And when we see those teams, right, and into that CEO's defense, right, they're having their marketing team come in, they're having a meeting with marketing, they're having, product management come in, sales come in, everyone is having separate meetings. And so, that's why I think that, as we go back, those open meetings with everyone, kind of an all colleague meeting is so important, because those ideas can be shared and they can share a set goal. And when they start to get away from that, it's like, well, no, everyone's focused on their goal. Well, yes, but do the goals align? And so I love that, that you kind of brought that up.
it's so important. Like, I'm a workshop facilitator, right? So it's like, there are so many times where I facilitate workshops for teams, and like, and you see, it's like when everyone's, writing out like the top 3 things that they worked on, this week, and how they would prioritize it for the coming quarter, let's say, it's incredible to see the complete, like, disconnect. It's like, we're all like, we could have the North Star, like, at the center of the collaborative whiteboard, and it's like everyone is working on something. Like, we all see where we're heading, but we're like all going in totally different directions. So like, yeah, it's a really valuable exercise. For those of you listening, there's so many ways to like bake this in to, to your schedule, to your team, to your whatever process you already have now. Like, I think oftentimes, I know for myself, when I'm listening to podcasts, or if I'm, sitting in on a meeting or talking with other people, and like, I hear about ideas and concepts that are like, oh, I wish I could do that, but my company wouldn't let, or my team's not going to go for that. Or, I feel like this is an example of something that is a basic fundamental, I don't know what I would call it. Like, a core, what would you call alignment? Like
The best way that I truly like describe alignment, right, is it's truly like exercise. Like, you can't do it once and truly then come back and go like, oh, okay, hey, everything's fixed. I did it once. Where are the results, right? It's a day in and day out, process of truly making sure that you can get through that. So absolutely.
Yeah. like a ritual, I guess. Like you said before, like it's not just like a, something that like you just check off, it's like, but it's something that you can bake into your schedule, even if it's you on your own, like if it's something that you feel like your manager's not going to go for it, or we said workshops, right? I know people get a little bit like, oh yeah, it's not going to work for me or my team. Like there are so many ways to take action on what Zach is explaining. I feel like, even if it's a small way to increase alignment within your team, or even within the work that you're doing, are you making sure that your deliverables are aligned with your manager's expectations, right? Like there's so many ways that you could take it. But it's such an important thing and often, very overlooked. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you kind of hit that dead on. I had I had a mentor that used to say that it's like flossing, right? Like, you should do it every day, but you don't truly think about it till things are falling apart all around you, right? So you've got that cavity and it's like, oh man, I should have done this. And that truly still to this day, like when I hear it, I just laugh because I'm like, you know what? That's so true. It truly is, because it's not something that you think about, on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. And it's also something that I feel like we see the manifestations of the misalignment without necessarily recognizing that the misalignment is like the core, cause. Like we see like the symptoms of what happens when the team is not aligned, but we don't necessarily identify the root cause to be the alignment. So.
Absolutely. And I think, one of the other things that I want to make sure that the listeners are truly kind of thinking about is just keeping that strategy simple. One of the things that I always coach on is you should be able to do that, explain your strategy in one sentence. And it should be a, 15-second elevator pitch of this is our strategy, this is what we're doing. And if you can't do that, you need to, go back to the drawing board and truly dive down into, what that key strategy alignment needs to be, because it needs to be just that simple.
Mm-hmm. And when you say strategy, are you talking about short-term, long-term, all the time? Like
all of the above. I mean, when we're building out these alignments and these strategies, I want to make sure that, that it's a very simple process, and feel free to make it ever changing, right? In those key meetings that you're having, where you're going over what's going on in that week and where that alignment is. You're getting up-to-date data, you're hearing from those customers on those customer surveys. Feel free to change that alignment to meet where the data is taking you, and where the where your team is truly seeing that that you need to go, and completely focusing in on the fact that customer data, it always beats opinions. I mean, just period. And so, you might have an opinion as the founder of this is why we do it and this is where we go. But at the end of the day, your customers are going to tell you whether that's true or whether you need to realign. And so, I always coach on, hey, let's truly focus on what the market is telling us to do.
Right. Wow. That's so awesome. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, Zach, I mean, we've talked about so many incredible things today. I know I'm just like, wow, I'm taking it all in. Is there, if you had to think of one thing as we're wrapping up that you feel is, really important, or something that you see, or a piece of advice that you were once given, or just a helpful tip or tool or resource that you wanted to share with us, what would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I've actually got a couple, and they're all kind of, short, but based on the conversation we've had today, I think number one is ask yourself, as you're just kind of listening to this podcast, what is your company's North Star? What is that North Star metric right now? If you can truly kind of dive down into what that is, and then also, is your product roadmap align with your business's priorities? So where you're looking to go, are your marketing team, your sales team, and your product management team all on the same page? Is everybody's priorities, similar, to that? And then, I would say third would be to really ask, what the immediate steps, if not, if one and two, if you can't answer that, then, immediately what can you do to improve that alignment? And, where do you need to go? Who do you need to meet with to truly work through that process? I think that the learning is out there. There are some absolutely amazing articles that I will share as well, so that so that the listeners can kind of truly dive into that. Harvard Business Review has a lot of good articles on like why startups fail, and one of the number one reasons in that being misalignment. And so that was one that that I just love to kind of work through and always discuss. So yeah, I mean, other than that, I think we've covered a lot today. If there are any questions at all, I would love to continue this conversation. It has been an absolute honor to finally get to come on and watch. And I tell you what, I mean, the shout out that you gave me earlier, I couldn't be more proud to see the growth that you've had over the last year, and is super excited to watch it continue. And I think that great things are coming. So thank you again for your time. Thank
you. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's crazy. It's funny, if you think about like a lot of the stuff that we discussed today, the word alignment comes up so much. And like for people who are in my community or who have yet to join, the URL is alignment is key. So, so those of you who are listening and would like to get in touch with Zach, I highly recommend it. I mean, I'm sure after listening to this episode, you're like, okay, like this is cool. Like let's reach out. So where can people get in touch with you? What's the best place for people to?
So LinkedIn is always great, I always respond very quickly on LinkedIn. Our website as well, which is teamleadwell.com. We are always available to meet there, and would love to reach to talk with you. And anything that I can do, I do a weekly newsletter out on LinkedIn. I'm always kind of involved there. So that's really truly probably the easiest way to get in touch. But I look forward to talking with anybody and everybody that listened today.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. It's amazing. Maybe we'll have to do a 2.0.
I like it.
It's awesome. Amazing. Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to be here and to share your insights and really valuable lessons. Like I for those of you who are watching or listening, go back to like the last couple of minutes and write down those 3 points that Zach made, because these are not just like checking the boxes. These are like, if you can really master the concepts that Zach spoke about, and also reach out to him and do a deep dive, because this is, if there was one thing that I would say like I'm the most passionate about, it's this concept of alignment. And so I there's nothing more that I could like give to my own clients than to say like, where is your alignment? So really, for those of you who want to continue the conversation, don't be shy. Zach is really nice. He won't bite, and reach out, because it's you're going to bring tremendous value to your business and to the company that you're working for. And, it's really an incredible topic. And I'm really grateful for everything that you shared. And thank you to everybody who tuned in, watched, listened. If you haven't joined our community yet, go check it out. It's a great place. And we will see you in the next episode. Thanks so much again, Zach. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a review. And of course, please be sure to check out our awesome community where you can connect with podcast guests, like-minded professionals, and be surrounded by others excited by your success. Keep pushing for impact and unlocking unstoppable growth. See you in the community.